Good morning, yarn lovers. Welcome to episode 4 of Yarning with Mimi. My name is Sherry Ann, also known as Mimi. That is what my grandchildren call me, and I love it. I am coming to you from South Texas. I am Canadian, but I've lived down here for quite a few years now. I was one of those nurses that was recruited back in 1989 and have been here ever since. It is super duper humid outside this morning. I've been outside for a little while, and I just love my air conditioning when I come back in. It looks like we have 22 subscribers. We are still a pretty new podcast and hope to get more certainly. And my goal is when we do reach 100, I would like to have our first giveaway. And I'm thinking that might be a a small project bag. My daughter makes project bags, and I did show one earlier on an earlier podcast, but I'll get that out again another time and show it. So that is my goal, to have a giveaway when we do hit 100 subscribers. So hopefully that'll be pretty soon. I am just starting to figure out all this technology stuff and all the different mediums or social mediums that are available. So you can find me on Instagram. I am S as in Sherry A Wood, WOOD 62. That is Instagram. I did create a Ravelry group, but I've not really added anything to that yet. I need to really figure that out and try and get some threads going on that. I do have an email. It is yarningwithmimi@gmail.com. So if you have any questions or any suggestions, please reach out there and shoot me an email if you're so inclined. Also, I did develop a Facebook group. We do have a few members. Please hop over to Facebook. It is Yarning with Mimi, and I'd really like to get that group going. It is a place where we can post our projects for all to see and enjoy, and another place for each of us to support each other. Okay, I'm just going to jump right into it. I did mention on other podcasts that I do a lot of charity knitting. I do have a small nonprofit organization called Mimi's Kind Knits. It is registered with the state of Texas. And I do a lot of knitting and crocheting. I donate to all different causes, Child Protective Services, churches for hats for the kindness, hats for the homeless, and I do call it Hats of Kindness. I've made lap gowns for a local nursing home, and I do a lot of charity work for a local pregnancy resource center, which I do need to get a package out to them. And I'm going to make that a regular segment of this podcast. It is Mimi's Kindness. So I am working on a project. My brother lives in Alberta, Canada, and he takes care of a project around the Christmas holidays called Samaritan's Purse. The goal is to fill at least 100 boxes with items, necessity items for children around the world, and these boxes get shipped out around the world. So I did offer to make hats to include in these boxes. So far I have 73 hats ready to go, and this past week I was able to get another 5 more hats made to include in those boxes. This yarn here is a yarn that I get at Michael's, and I'm trying to pull it up here. It is this brand name, Craft Smart. It is called Never Enough. It is a 14.1 ounce ball of yarn, and you can get these at Michael's for $5. So what a lovely bargain for your charity projects. And this yarn that I'm using is also a great bargain. It is red heart stripes, and it comes in a number of colors, and boy does it ever work up nicely. Real pretty designs. And at my Walmart I can get a ball for $2.97 or something like that, and I can get 3 hats out of a ball of yarn. Another project I've been working on for the pregnancy, or actually this one isn't for the resource center. I'm working on preemie blankets for a local hospital for their NICU, for the micro preemie babies. Usually the blankets that you buy in stores are really, they look so big with these little tiny preemies. So I've made a couple, and this past 2 weeks I've completed 2. Here's a nice little pink one for a baby girl, and you can see the eyelet ridging along the edge there. So this is my little girl's blanket. These are just garter stitch knitting. I use a 4.5 millimeter needle, and I'm using Grandma's favorite dishcloth pattern, and I just knit until I'm about 16 inches square. But for me, at my gauge, that means knitting to 100 stitches, and then I start to decrease. And here's one for the little boy. They really are very cute, and they're going to look darling in use with the preemies. This is the yarn that I'm using. It's Lion Brand's Ice Cream, and I got this at Michael's. And for the little girl, I'm using loops and threads, also from Michael's Snuggly Wuggly. And these are their big balls. They are 10.5 ounces for the patterned or the design yarn. Your plain colored yarns are little larger balls, I think like 14 ounces, 12 or 14 ounces. These are $9.99. However, I go when they have their 30% off everything coupon. So for a little over $6, I'll probably be able to get 3 blankets out of each ball of yarn. Okay, so that's it this week for Mimi's Kind Knits. Let's jump into FOs, finished objects. I am also working on yet another size blanket, and this project is for the Pregnancy Resource Center, which is about an hour away from where I live. And I have made contact with them. They are wanting to accept donations, so I'm putting together a few different items so I can take them a package maybe in about a month or so, maybe a little longer, because I'd like to have a good little package with some items. Here is another blanket. This is, excuse me, a car seat blanket. So it is bigger than the preemie blankets, but not as big as your regular delivery size blankets. These are specifically made for the baby car seats. And this is knit. It is just a plain stockinette stitch with a couple of rows of garter stitch, making the panels. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice there. This particular blanket, I use worsted weight yarn. You can use any worsted weight yarn. I love this yarn, but I also have the Caron, the 1 pound Caron yarn, which when washed up gets much softer than what it is in the ball of yarn. I am still working on washcloths for spa sets, and they can also be used as dishcloths. I've completed another 7 this past week. However, some of them have already been gifted out in some spa packages, but here are some of the ones that I still have remaining: the orange, the lime green, and I do need to weave in my ends. I don't know why I don't weave them in as I go. It would just be so much easier, I think, but I tend to just want to create, and then I spend about a half an hour weaving in the ends later on, and I just do them all at the same time. I do put together spa packages, as I mentioned, and I put together a really nice package for my daughter. It was her birthday this past week, and so it had some spa sets in there with soap, some handmade, homemade hand balms that I make with coconut oil, shea butter, olive oil, and beeswax with some essential oils. And so the package turned out really nice. Please take some time and hop over to my Instagram. Again, that's sawood62, and you'll see the package that I put together for my daughter's birthday. So I think that's probably it for finished items at the moment, or finished objects. I'm going to jump into WIPs, works in progress. Again, I always have hats on the go, so I don't need to show you that, I guess, but I'll be showing those until, probably for every podcast, at least until I finish my project for my brother. Spot cloths I'm always working on. As a matter of fact, I have a friend that saw the package that I made for my daughter and has asked me to put one together for her granddaughter. So here's the start of it. I already have 2 cloths ready to go. I've got 4 other cloths ready that I need to weave in the ends, and then I'm going to make some of my handmade or homemade hand balm with some bergamot, patchouli, and ylang-ylang essential oils. It really smells very lovely. And I also make lip balms with the same essential oils. So I'll put that packet together and send it to her. And then I am working on some socks. Here is one sock that is on the needles. I do use the double points 2.25 millimeter. I guess it's US 1, and this is a plain vanilla sock. I start with a 2x2 rib for 25 rows, and then I'm going to make the leg probably about 6 inches. I do the heel flap gusset. It just works good for me. However, I just discovered a pattern with an afterthought heel, and I'll show you that pattern in a minute. But I'm kind of excited to try the afterthought heel in a pair of regular socks. So I'll do that after I finish these probably. I've got a number of pairs of socks on the needles, so I need to get their mates finished, and then I'll challenge myself to attempt a new heel. This is the sock pattern that I was talking about that has the afterthought heel. It is actually a free pattern. It's from Red Heart. It is called Festive Fair Isle Stocking, and the number to that is LW6269. Again, it's Red Heart and it is free. This is a Christmas stocking. I think it's turning out so nice, but I'm using Red Heart with Love yarn, and I've got the green, the white, and then kind of like the burgundy color. This top part here is Red Heart fur. It is a weight 7, and boy is it ever soft. And then the design is you use a graph to get the design. So that's one of my works in progress. And again, I use the Red Heart fur and the Red Heart with Love. But you can use any worsted weight yarn for your sock, but it does require worsted weight. I have another car seat blanket on the go. This one is for a boy. Kind of hard to see when I have it on the needles. I just have it on straight needles for now. I don't have a circular needle in that size. However, that would be much nicer if I did. Another preemie blanket started. Oh, camera's blowing out there. I don't know if you can see the color, but this one's for a little girl. And I did just start another corner to corner. This is crochet. This is a corner to corner blanket, and this will be newborn size when it's done. And for this one, I'm using the Mandela Lion Brand Mandela yarn, and look at the colors in that. Isn't that pretty? And it's like a self-striping, a longer self-striping yarn, and it turns out really pretty. Coming up, I work at a local nursing home, and I did mention that our activity director puts together a annual garage sale where she advertises and vendors from the community purchase a small spot and bring their items and sell. So I'm really excited about that because I have so many things that I can also set up a table for and try and sell. So I'm going to start creating and working on items for that. So for my little spot, I'm going to sell items such as kitchen towels with the crocheted towel topper on. These are the towels that you drape over your or fold over your oven door, and they hang there really nicely. I'm going to create some spa sets, some hand balms and sugar scrubs, and some slippers. I haven't showed you any of the slippers that I've made, but I'll try to remember to do that for next podcast. Okay, so let's get into some fun stuff. Acquisitions. Dropped stuff. I was able to go yarn shopping and get some specials. I do make, like I said, those blankets for the Pregnancy Resource Center. And what I have discovered is the Lion Brand Mandela yarn is just perfect for those blankets. It's a weight 3. I use a size 5 crochet hook. And the colors are so nice. So I picked up a few balls or cakes of the Mandela. Look at that color. The different greens. It goes into nice light gray, a little darker gray. This one is called Genie. And then I have this one. Isn't that pretty? And this is called Pegasus. And then this one here. I did make a blanket and show that, probably in the first episode. And this one is called Unicorn. I have a few more that I've already started in projects. I need 2 of those balls for a good sized blanket. And my blankets are usually about 36 inches square. What I do is I get it up to 36 inches and then I start to decrease, and I have enough yarn left over to do 2 rows on the outer edge. I do a single row of single crochet, and then I do my little scalloped edge along the outer edge of the blanket. So 2 balls of Mandela, they're less than $5 a ball of yarn, another good bargain. Then I was able to go get some Red Heart Stripes yarn. This is what they look like. Super Saver. I have that backwards, don't I? Super Saver stripes. This one is called Parrot Stripes. This one is called Fruity Stripes. This one is called Retro Stripes. And then I found this. I've not ever noticed Red Heart Fair Isle before, but I had to pick this up. This is going to be really fun to work with. But it's Super Saver Fair Isle. And this is called Parrot Fair Isle. So I'm really excited to be able to start working with those yarns, but I need to get some of my other projects out of the way first. And then, of course, I got a lot of Peaches and Cream yarn for my spa cloths. I got one a little more masculine for the men. Men use cloths as well, or for dish rags. And these I get at Walmart because they are Peaches and Cream, and they are the big balls, 14, or cones I should say, 14 ounces. And at Walmart, they're only $7.97 for the 14-ounce cone. But you can get them at Michael's and Joann's and Hobby Lobby, but they're $14.99. And it's the equivalent. Different brand name, however, but the same amount of yarn. So I'd rather get them at Michael's. They serve me well, and perfect for the project. Well, I think that's probably it for this podcast. I am going to try to do this every 2 weeks. At first, I was doing it every week, and it just seemed like I didn't have enough to show weekly. And then 3 weeks just seemed so long. But I will try to do this every 2 weeks and see how that goes, hoping to get a few more subscribers. I would like to give a shout out to Ella from No Catchy Name Crochet Podcast. If you've not found that podcast yet, look for it. I promise you won't be disappointed. She is just darling. It is a crochet podcast. Her name is Ella, and it's No Catchy Name Crochet Podcast. She was so kind to put my link on her Facebook page or Facebook group, and so I was able to get a few more viewers from that shout out. Ella, thank you so much. That was very sweet of you to do. I really appreciate it. I guess that's just the way I'm going to be able to get word out, is when others do take the time to share a new podcaster. Anyways, thank you again. So that's it for now. I'm going to shut down for the day. Well, I'm not going to shut down. I'm going to shut down the podcast, but I'm going to crochet all day today because I have plans. I am on a mission with these baby blankets, and I love the corner to corner baby blanket. It just works up so nice and quick for me. So for you returning viewers, thank you for coming back and taking the time to chat with me and explore our love of yarn. For new viewers, welcome to the podcast. If you like what you see, what you hear, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And hope to see you in the future. All right, all. Have a very good day and rest of the weekend. Bye.